welcome back to the Saltwater Dreamscapes studio. I am Amber Angeloni. I'm the artist and the owner of Saltwater Dreamscapes, and this is my second tutorial video. I hope you joined me last time for the octopus. Today we are going to be painting a jellyfish, and this is the jellyfish that we're going to be making today. You can also see there are some jellyfish in the background. My website will be in the description as always if you would like to check out my work. So before we get started, I'm going to talk to you about the supplies that you're going to need, and if you were with me for the octopus tutorial, they're going to look real familiar. So first of all, you're going to need your painting surface, whether that's canvas, wood, whatever you've chosen to work on, you'll need that. You'll also need a palette of some kind. I'm using a plastic palette wrapped in wax paper. You'll need a paper towel or some kind of absorbent surface to dry your brushes on. And you'll need some brushes. So we're going to be using a number 10 flat today. This is a number 8 filbert. You could also substitute a flat for that. This is a number 1 round. And then this one is a liner. It's a 10/0 size, and it basically just has longer bristles than a regular round. But you can use a regular round if you would like, if that's what you have available to you. Perfectly fine. You'll need some water as well, and of course you're going to need your acrylic paints. So we are using Grumbacher for the most part today. Again, that's the brand that I prefer. It's a mid-range brand. I will have all of the colors of paint in the description so that if you miss it the first time, you can just go down there and read. And a lot of these are going to look familiar to you as well. So we're going to be using our titanium white, cadmium yellow medium, turquoise green, phthalo blue, and dioxazine purple. And then we will also be using that same Matisse brand magenta. If you are not familiar with Matisse or where to get it, you can get it from Jerry's Artarama, and I'm going to put a link for that in the description as well. The Grumbachers I get at Michael's, but they're going to be available a lot of places. Amazon carries them, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, probably any craft supply store will have them. All right, we are ready to get started, so join me as we paint our jellyfish today. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is paint our background, and it's okay if you're working with a white surface like canvas or a piece of paper. I always paint my wood just a solid turquoise before I even start on anything, but we're going to paint it now, so if you're working with white, that's perfectly fine. So the first thing we're going to do is get some of our titanium white. Just a tiny dab of our cadmium yellow. A little bit of turquoise. And some phthalo blue. So you might be noticing that I set my palette up this time vertically instead of horizontally, and the reason for that is that this is going to be a vertical piece, and we're thinking about this as the top where the light comes into the ocean and starts to filter down. So we're going to start light and then do an ombre or sort of a gradient effect, and we're going to be dark at the bottom. So I've set my paint up in exactly the same way: white, yellow, turquoise, and phthalo. And I've got my number 10 flat brush here, which is what I use for small backgrounds. And we're just going to get some of our white, some of our yellow, and some of our turquoise, and just mix that up really well. And then we're going to start at the top. We want to put our paint on pretty thick. If you notice that it's too thin, you can do this exact same step one more time after it dries. Just to thicken it up. So I've gone down about an inch, inch and a half, and then I've added some more turquoise to make it a little darker. Go down another little bit and add some more. You'll notice that I'm not being super careful about blending this. I actually kind of like it to not be very blended because it gives it interesting texture. And I find that with acrylic in general, it just works better the less fussy you are about your brush strokes. So we're going to start to add some phthalo about halfway down. Sort of blend that a little bit like that. And that's all there is to that step. So we're going to let this get completely dry and then we'll start on our jelly. Alright, so we've let this dry for about an hour and it's not completely dry, but you can kind of pat it and pull your hand away clean, so that's what we're looking for. We are going to start on our jelly now, and so we're going to get a little bit of our dioxazine purple. A little bit of our phthalo. Some magenta. A little bit of cadmium yellow, and my titanium white. And again, I've set this up vertically from light at the top to dark at the bottom. And when I'm doing a jellyfish, I always try to use the biggest brush that I can. So right now I'm using this number 10 filbert. It's an Artist Loft brand. And I'm going to get a little bit of my dioxazine and a little bit of my magenta. And I'm going to make sort of a roughly cylinder. That's the wrong word. Oval. Just like that. I'm going to do a little more magenta. We're going to create the bell of our jelly. I'm going to take my number 8 filbert. It's a little phthalo, a little purple, and a little white. So just like that. That's my brush. And then we're going to take a little bit of our cad yellow, a little bit of our magenta, and some white. So inside the larger bell, there's a smaller bell shape, and it is lighter typically. So I'm mixing up some cadmium yellow and some white. And I'm just going to highlight the top of that shape. Now I'm going to create some lighter magenta by adding a little white to it. I'm going to pull that down right over the top. And then what we're doing is running our brush along the base of that first oval that you made and then pulling up. Don't worry if your colors get a little bit mixed together, that's perfectly fine. You're creating a transparent structure, or I guess translucent, and so it's okay if some of the colors start to show through. That actually will help the effect. I mix up a little bit lighter blue. So what you're seeing here is actually the water from the background kind of showing through that bell shape. And we're going to let it mix with the magenta at the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of turquoise to my palette. We're going to mix some phthalo and some turquoise and fill in that oval shape that you made at the beginning. Then we're going to add some white to it. This is why I love the filbert brush, because it allows for this technique. So what you're going to do is put your brush at the base of that oval and then just pull up. And what you're doing is creating a ruffled look on the inside of the jelly. I'm going to mix a little bit darker and then pull that down the other direction. And that creates the look of a shadow. Rinse. We didn't get very good opacity here, and so I'm going to go back over that now that it's had a minute to set up. That's much better. I'm going to add a little magenta to it. And again, I'm going to pull it up from the bottom. And basically what I'm going to be doing is pulling up from the bottom and down from the top until it all blends together nicely. Don't forget when you're rinsing your brush that you want to make sure and dry it completely. happy with that. I do think I would like a little bit lighter yellow. There. Now if you watch my octopus tutorial, you'll remember that you don't want to get your purples and your yellow mixed up because they can make sort of an ugly brownish tone. The same is true of your yellow and your blue, not because it'll make brown, but because it'll make green. So sometimes that can be good, but in this case we want to keep those separate. What we're going to do now is create a little bit of dimension on this bell. Like a highlight. We're going to pull it down just over part. Of the interior bell. See, I did there what I just said not to do, which is to get the blue mixed into the yellow. We'll pretend I did it on purpose so you could see it. If that happens, don't worry about it. You're just going to give it a second to dry and then paint back over it. Alright, so we're going to let that set up for a minute, and while we do that, we're going to paint some of our tendrils. So we're going to need white for that and some blue. And basically what we're going to do is just create this sort of ribbony line going down. There we go. And then I just kind of let it trail off at the bottom. I like to kind of let them cross over each other. It's up to you how you want to do it. Then I'm going to add some more white to create a lighter tone. You don't want to completely cover up your bottom layer. You're just going back over it with lighter and lighter tones in order to create some dimension. Then I'm going to take my round brush. This is a number 1. I'm going to use it to create a smaller ruffly texture. One thing that's kind of nice about jellies, they always look a little bit different, and so you don't ever have to worry about being super exact. So usually I'll put the white on one side and then let the other side be darker, and that will give it the appearance of going back into space. I'm actually going to add just a third tendril back there. Like that. Alright, we're going to see if we've had any luck letting that yellow set up. Yes, that's much better. like that. It's the joy of acrylic. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. So I'm continuing to create that depth by adding some more of my pink. And then I'm going to make this highlight a little more pronounced, just like that. And take your round brush and mix some dioxazine and some magenta. You don't want any white in this. You want it as dark as you can get it. And you're just going to create that ruffled look around the bottom, both in the front and the back of your jelly. And then we're going to pull these up, and that creates that ruffly thing that the jellies have going on. Finally, I'm going to mix just a little of my yellow, just a tiny bit, into my white and add some highlights here. I think I want to do just a tiny bit more light area here. And then our final step, you're going to need a small round brush, and I actually use this, which is a liner. It's a much longer bristle, and it's really ideal for doing the final tendrils on a jelly. And we're going to dip it in water and mix just a few drops of water into this purple and magenta that we made, and that is to thin it. And then we're going to use the liner brush to pull that color down. I don't worry if it gets some white in it. It actually just makes it look a little more dimensional. So I just let that go. Just like that. I'm going to take a little bit of my white, put my initials at the bottom, and we are all done. Alright guys, your jellyfish is all done, ready for clear coating. I will put the names of the products that I mentioned in the octopus tutorial in the description as well, in case you would like to clear coat, especially if you're using wood, it's a good idea. And please join me next time when we will be painting a seahorse together. Until then.